Your eye is a muscle. Just like you can train your body to get stronger, you can train your eye to see more. A well-developed and keen eye is your best friend on the street. It's the tool that will help you to capture your best photographs. And it's the tool you should invest the most in. Not cameras, not lenses, not any other piece of gear you can think of will improve your photography. So today we will go through 6 proven ways to develop that eye and make it stronger. You see, the biggest problem people face when starting out in photography is simply they don't know. They don't know what makes a good photograph. Their eye hasn't seen enough visual content to form an opinion. The beginner's perception is often that a good photo needs to be sharp and perhaps need to have nice colors. And of course that you need a good camera to achieve that. That's why beginners always ask which camera is the best one. They think that it will naturally give them the best results. And it's not unusual at all. Many beginners buy pro kits, even Leicas and Hasselblads, because someone told them that they're the best. But after playing with their new toys for a year or so, after getting exposed to more good images, something starts to shift. The eye begins to recognize what's good and what's not. And that's when doubt creeps in. They think, I have the best gear money can buy, so why don't my photos look like his? And the mind comes very quickly with an answer. It's because he knows how to edit. I'm shooting well too. He just knows Photoshop and how to make the colors pop. Sounds familiar? Why I'm telling you all this? Because I have been there. I didn't buy a Leica, but I had a full set of professional gear. And I was sure that I was a great photographer. Until one moment changed everything. It was a few years in my journey. I knew quite a bit about the gear. I could capture sharp images and blur the background. So I thought I had it all figured out. So I was on a trip to Myanmar in a Buddhist monastery in Mandalay area, walking proudly with my wide 70-200 lens on my neck, photographing monks doing about their daily lives, until a small group of photographers entered the scene. Naturally, with the corner of my eye, I checked out everyone's gear and found out, to my great satisfaction, that my camera was the best one there. That filled me with pride. I kept shooting with my chest very high, wearing my best serious professional face, and just carried on. Among that group, there was a woman, probably the leader of their team. She had some small camera, I don't even remember the brand. At some point, she walked over to me and asked, "Hey, can I see what you're getting?" Of course, full of pride, I showed her my photographs. As we were scrolling through my precious work, she looked at a few, but quickly lost interest. Then she turned to me and said, "You know, your photos are technically fine, but you should work on your composition more." Man, I can't tell you how these words hit me. I could barely keep on with shooting that day. Her words echoed in my head like a mantra. You should work on your composition. You should work on your composition. You should work on your composition. And that little voice didn't quiet for quite a while. To this day, I don't know who she was, but those words had a massive impact on my future. That was the turning point for me. From that moment on, I dove deeply into the world of photography. Today I'm a better photographer, and it's all thanks to that woman. But today I don't walk so proud anymore, because now I know that there is a never-ending path ahead of me. The process of training your eye and mastering your photography craft never truly ends. It's just one continuous process. So how do you train your eye for aesthetics? It has to begin somewhere, right? So you start with training your eye through visual consumption. The first step is to consume a lot of quality imagery. But the curse of our time is that there's just too much content out there. And with the good stuff, you're also consuming a lot of garbage. I used to recommend having an Instagram account where you remove all your family and friends and follow only photography accounts that inspire you, only things that you like. That still works to some extent, but Instagram isn't what it used to be. The algorithm pushes too much video, advertisements, and accounts you don't care about, basically stuff that I didn't choose. So I think today it is better to go back to basics, which means explore other forms of art. Go to museums and look at paintings. Apply the compositional rules you know to the art. You will see that painters use light and shape very similarly to photographers. Look at abstract art to understand how color impacts your emotions. Look at sculptures to see how light interacts with shape. And of course, focus on photography books. Good books are quite expensive, so choose one or two from photographers that you love and study them. Break down every single photograph you see, do the basics. Ask yourself, what do I like about this photo? Is it the story? What is my emotional response? Is it the composition, the colors, the light, the complexity, the simplicity? The more questions you ask yourself about a particular photograph, the more answers you get, and the more you understand the art of photography. I have a cheat list with a list of these type of questions. You can download it in the video description. So this is the first step, but it's a very important one. Once you start understanding what makes a good photograph, you will start pushing your skills towards that direction. But you are not a photographer yet. For now, you have learned how to become a photocritic. And just like food critic isn't a chef, to become a photographer, you need to expand your theoretical experience to practical experience. You need to learn how to create those well-structured, story-rich photos with your own hands. And for that, you need to train. Make a challenge day or a challenge week. Every time you go out shooting, focus on one thing. Let's say you want to develop your eye for moments. Then spend entire session outside observing and anticipating human interaction. Look for affection between couples, parent and child relationships, generally daily street life. These are there, but I bet you don't normally pay attention to them. Training your eye to storytelling means training it to be aware of these small gestures and emotions that are happening all around us all the time. And most important part is just slow down, don't rush, look at a scene for a few minutes. That's how you learn to anticipate and recognize the start of an interaction. And the key word here is anticipate. You should anticipate that something is about to happen rather than chase it. Now let's talk about composition. Developing the eye for composition takes years because it means you need to pay attention to all the elements in the frame and organize them. And that's hard. It's easier when you shoot tight with a telephoto lens and minimize elements that you need to work with. But if you want to shoot wider and show context, composition becomes critical. You need to consider angles, lines, shapes, distances, what enters the frame and what stays out of it. So to train your eye for composition is very similar. Challenge yourself with different exercises. One day focused on searching leading lines, finding lines, road, fences or shadows, something that guides the viewer eye towards your subject. The next day, try to find frame within a frame. The next challenge, search for objects shrouding by negative space. The next, work on symmetry and balance, and so on, until you go through most of the compositional techniques that are out there. But one of the best ways to train your compositional skill is to commit to one focal length for 2 years. Yes, one lens, 2 years. Someone commented on one of my videos recently, doubting that anyone would actually do it. So let me tell you, I did it. I used the 35mm for 2 years. Some of my students did it too. And we all greatly benefited from that impulse limitation that pushed us to explore our ability to compose. One of my students still mostly shoots with 35mm and always tells me that it was the best advice he ever got. So yes, people do it and it works. Then comes light. Developing an eye for light means learning its language. Light creates mood. Hard light looks and feels one way, soft light feels another way. You need to learn how to integrate light into your composition. A favorite exercise of mine is just take a bus during the golden hour and just watch how the light changes as the bus turns through different streets. See how it hits people differently, see how it lights the interior of the bus differently. This is a great way to learn effortlessly. You can also walk the streets and look for light and shadow interplays. Find these different shapes created by light. Photograph them, make a mental note of them, but important is that you see them. Spend 5-10 minutes a day just watching how light falls. Observe the direction, observe the quality and the color. Light does have color. You don't even need a camera for that, just use your eyes. Now let's talk about color. This one is hard, particularly for me. I'm partially colorblind and still don't pay enough attention to color. But if you want to train your eye for color, try this. Choose one color and spend a shooting session searching for this color on the street. Then find that color in 2 places. For example, on your subject and some other element on the street. When you're comfortable with that exercise, look for specific color combinations. Try to find color combinations that create contrast. Similarly, trying to find color combinations that create harmony. This is the way to work with color. To use color either to create contrast or to create harmony. And finally, space. Train your eye for space. Even empty space matters. Space defines the distance between objects, it surrounds them and creates invisible framing of sorts. Emptiness also pushes the eye towards your subject. So you see, there are many ways to develop. If you break it down into weekly exercises, it may take you even a year. And if you had trouble remember everything, don't worry, I made a free download with these exercises. It's again in the video description. But most importantly, shoot. Theory means nothing without practice. Reading a list of assignments won't train your eye. You have to do the assignments. You need to search for those visual elements again and again. That's how it sticks. Not by watching YouTube, not by reading books. It's by doing it outside on the street. So schedule your photography time. Make it a habit. Even 15-30 minutes a day. You can use the time back from work or just when you're on your way somewhere. The more you shoot, the more you practice, your capacity to see rises. And last tip, stay involved in photography even when you are not shooting. When you're not shooting, when you're back at home, you can analyze your work, organize your photos. You can organize them by theme, light, style, or a different technique. Just make sure you're all the time busy with photography. That is another great way to train the eye. Join a community, find friends who are into photography. Take these friends with you and go on training missions together. But don't walk together, you will just end up chatting. So split up, shoot for a few hours, and then meet up and compare your findings. You will learn a lot that way. I think I gave you enough to keep you busy for a while. Feel free to ask questions in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and happy shooting. See you next time.